Hey guys, welcome back to Labor Laws lecture series. This discussion is on the Employee State Insurance Act 1948. And here is a syllabus for Employee State Insurance Act 1948. And we already covered the key overview of an Employee State Insurance Act in the first video and key definitions such as employment, injury, contribution, dependent, principal employer and employee. All these things we discussed in video 2. And in this video, we are going to discuss about administrative mechanism of ESI scheme. Okay, which includes ESI Corporation, Standing Committee, Medical Benefit Council, and their power and composition. This is the subject matter of this particular video. Let's get into a subject matter. So this particular at this point of time we are discussing employee state insurance scheme and then what are the administrative mechanism of employee state insurance scheme. As this act itself says, right, employee state insurance means there will be a contribution from one party, but here it is employer and both employee, they will be contributing it, and this particular scheme manages the insurance fund and then provides facilities to employee in case of sickness, injury, employment injury and maternity benefit. This is the objective of this particular act also and this particular scheme. Now the important question is, who is going to manage this particular fund? Who is going to administer this particular scheme? That's the important question here, the subject matter of this particular video. Okay, the first one is Employee State Insurance Corporation to administer the fund and manage the affairs of Employee State Insurance Scheme. The Act has set up Employee State Insurance Corporation. We will discuss in detail about Employee State Insurance Corporation, what it is, what are key constitution members of this particular organization, and what are the powers and duties. The first party who administers the fund and who manages the Employee State Insurance Scheme is Employee State Insurance Corporation. The second set of team which is helping to administer Employee State Insurance Scheme is Standing Committee. This is a committee which is set up to take advices from ESIC and then execute. It is an body of executive body of ESIC. Okay, it is a executing body of ESIC. And the third party is Medical Benefit Council. This Medical Benefit Council is going to provide advisors to ESIC and also to Standing Committee in matters related to medical or a medicine or hospitals. Any matter related to a hospitalization, hospitals or medical and other thing, that advice will be given by Medical Benefit Council. And the fourth wing is regional board, local committee, inspector, officer and staff. It is an office body, like it is an office team where if it is a ESIC, ESIC is a central body. Every region they have an office, north, south, west, east, and then every district, every state they have officers, right? So okay, in those regions and in a state level they can have a regional boards, local committee, and then appointed inspectors, office members and the staff. These all are the working people. Okay, there are four wings which manages ESI scheme administration. The first wing is Employee State Insurance Corporation, and then Standing Committee, and the third one is Medical Benefit Council, and the fourth one is regional boards, local committees, inspectors, staff and officers. Let's look into each of these in detail. As per our syllabus, we have Employee State Insurance Corporation, Standing Committee, and then Medical Council Board. Employee State Insurance Corporation is defined in Section 3. It is a corporation which has been created under the Act to administer and execute ESI scheme. So under this particular act, Employee State Insurance Act 1948, ESIC, Employee State Insurance Corporation, was set up. The basic purpose to set up this particular act is to administer and execute the ESI scheme. And now it is a corporation, right? It is a body corporate. Whenever we say it is a corporation or a company or anything, it will be a body corporate. It will be having separate legal existence. Okay, they have, it is a artificial person. It is a perpetual succession. The feature of another feature of a corporate bodies is perpetual succession. Any person who dies or any person goes out of the organization, it will not stop the functioning of an organization. The organization will be keep performing and it will continue for a longer period. So the death or a retirement of any individual person will not affect the existence of a organization or a corporation. Those, that is a perpetual succession and a common seal. So any transactions which ESIC does, there should be a common seal. Okay, so this is the generic features of any corporate or a company which you might have read in earlier laws or earlier commerce classes. Okay, so this particular ESIC was set up under the act to administer and execute the ESI scheme. Okay, to support that, they need a big team, right? What is its constitution? Constitution of this corporation. So the first person here is a chairman. So chairman is a first person and he will be supported by vice chairman. There one person from each of the state who will be representing it, respective state, and then one person representing all the union territories, 10 persons representing employers, 10% representing employees, and 2% representing medical practice, and 3% representing parliament. Out of this parliament team, 2 persons from the Lok Sabha and 1 person from Rajya Sabha. This is a team which supports Employee State Insurance Corporation to execute their day-to-day operation, and the another person is Director General of ESIC. Director General of ESIC. This is a set of team which will work closely to execute and administer the ESI scheme. Chairman, vice chairman, one person from each state to represent that particular state, and one person representing union territories, 10% representing employers, 10% representing employees, 2% representing medical practitioners, and then 3% representing parliament, out of which 2 from Lok Sabha and 1 from Rajya Sabha, and then Director General for Employee State Insurance Corporation is a ex officio member. So this is a team which execute and administer the scheme. The important question now here is, who is going to appoint these people? Except this team, it will be appointed by state government. Okay, and rest all will be appointed by central government, except the state representation which will be done by state team. Otherwise, this is all appointed by central government. Okay, everyone is appointed by central government. Then you can call, right? You can ask us how the central government can appoint a employers, employees, or a medical practitioner. So central government in consultation with the respective team. Okay, there will be employer organization, they talk to employer organization, and then in consultation with the respective teams, they will consult here with in case of medical, they will consult with the AIMS. Here again, employee associations. So they consult with the respective team and then select the members, nominate the members. But with respect to a state, the state government takes a call to appoint the respective person. Okay, clear? Every persons here in this chart will be appointed by central government except the state. Okay, the state representation will be appointed by respective state. And other important question is term of office. How long they can serve in this? The 10% representing the employers, 10% representing the employees, and then medical practitioners, and 3% representing the parliament. All these persons, the term is, for all these persons term is, it is 4 years. Okay, the term of all these persons, 10 employer representation, employee representation, medical practice, and the parliament representation, it is 4 years. And in other cases, it is at the will of the appointing government. It is all at the pleasure of the government. The chairman is appointed by current government. He can continue for 4 years and then also reappointed, but it is all at the will and wish of the appointing government, chairman or vice chairman and everything. So they can appoint 5 vice chairmen, up to 5 vice chairmen. This is the constitution of Employees State Insurance Corporation. Moving to powers and duties. What is the major power and duties they have to execute? Powers of ESIC. Employment of staff. According to section 17, ESIC can appoint the staffs, the required staff members to run the scheme. Okay, the required staff members to run the scheme. Very simple section, not much complications involved in this. And then promotion of measures for a health. Any promotion activity which ESIC takes towards promoting health of a insured person, that is their power. They can take any promotional measures to improve the health of insured person and a family. Holding of properties. Section 29 deals with holding of properties. The ESIC, Employees State Insurance Corporation, can hold immovable property, any properties for that matter. Then they can have movable property. Immovable property is nothing but a land and building, and movable properties are vehicles, any other assets. Apart from that, whatever the money collected from a contribution, if there is a excess money, then they can invest. If any amount which is not needed immediately, then they can do some investments. And if at all they need something, and they can raise a loans also. Okay, if any amount is needed for the functioning, they can raise a loans. Then appointment of inspector to perform certain investigation. If required, ESIC can appoint inspectors wherever it is needed. Then collect contribution. They have a power to collect a contribution from principal employer. Principal employer has to make contribution to this particular act. See, there will be two contribution. One is employee contribution and another one is a employer contribution. What actually happens is employee pays to him, means there will be a salary deduction. Employee contribution will be deducted from a salary, and employer adds his contribution and then deposit into bank, which is specified by this particular act, or a ESIC corporation, Employee State Insurance Corporation. So this Employee State Insurance Corporation has a power to collect contribution from principal employer. And what is the rate for collection? How much they can collect? It will be decided by central government from time to time. It is not fixed. Right now it is 3.75 and 0.75, I believe. We will see later. So this is how the premium will be contributed by principal employer. So 5 powers. They can they can employ a staff. They can promote the measures of health of an insured person, and then they can hold the properties, like whether immovable or movable. If extra money is there, they can invest it. If they require additional money, they can raise a loan with a prior approval. And then they can appoint an inspector in case of some investigation is needed. And they have a powers to collect contribution from principal employer, which is the rate is prescribed by central government. And let us look into duties of ESIC. What are the critical duties they have to perform? First one is budget estimate. What is a budget? It is planning in advance, financial planning in advance. What is the revenue? What is the income? And what are the expenditure for the coming year? Right? It is deciding in advance what are the incomes and expenditure for the coming year. So this is their first and primary duty. They have to prepare budget estimate. ESIC team members have to prepare. And the second one, maintain accounts and facilitate auditing. Maintain account means they have to maintain journals, ledgers, cash books, whatever is required from a accounting standards perspective, they have to maintain it under section 33. That's the major duty, whatever the expenditure, whatever income, the entire account should be maintained. And then facilitate for auditing. This under section 34. See, the accounts maintained by the operations done by ESIC will be audited by the persons appointed by central government. So they have to help in that auditing. Next, publish annual report. Once the accounts are maintained every year as a similar to other corporations, Employee State Insurance Corporation also has to submit the financial reports or annual reports. It includes balance sheet, P&L, and then detailed notes, what is happening, how many people they have treated, where all their reach, everything they have to mention in annual report. And to whom they have to submit? They have to submit their annual report to before the parliament under section 36. Under section 36, they have to submit or place it before parliament, and parliament has to approve this. And for the purpose of a proper financial reporting and everything, all the assets and liabilities of the firm should be valued regularly as per applicable rules and laws. Okay, this is a critical few roles of duties of a ESIC: budget estimate, maintain accounts, support auditing, publish annual report, place the annual report before the parliament, and then do a regular valuation of assets and liabilities. Okay, moving to a next wing, which is standing committee. So the first wing was Employee State Insurance Corporation. Second one is standing committee. Third one is a medical benefit council, and the fourth one is the staff members, regional council, and other things. Okay, so the second wing here we are discussing standing committee. What is standing committee? Subject to the general superintendence and control of the ESIC, and to act as its executive body, a standing committee has been constituted from among the members of the ESIC. Okay, so ESIC is there, they control it and they supervise it. Under them, under the supervision, one executive body is constituted executive body. That executive body is called as standing committee. Okay, from where we get the members of a standing committee? A standing committee is constituted from the among the members of the ESIC. Whoever is a member of a ESIC, from there we constituted standing committee. So who all are the members of the ESIC? We discussed earlier: chairman, vice chairman, representation from the state, representation from the employer, representation from the employees, and members of the parliament, and then representation of the union territory and director general. From this, a smaller team will be formed which will act as a executive committee, and it will be called as standing committee. Let's see the constitution of standing committee. Standing committee consists of chairman, 3 members from ESIC, 3 members from ESIC, and then 3 members from states. 3 members from states here, right? 3 members from a state, like we have multiple states in India, but out of many states in India, out of that only 3 members will be represented. Which 3 states will be notified by central government? And then 8 members elected by the ESIC. 8 members will be elected by other members of the ESIC. How? 3 members representing employers. Out of 10 members, the 3 will be selected. Out of 10 employees, 3 members will be representing. And then out of 2 medical practitioners, 1 medical practitioner will be appointed here as an executive body, and then 1 person representing the parliament. In parliament we had 3 members there, so out of 3, 1 will be elected. So from the existing members of the ESIC, a smaller portion will be taken into standing committee, who will be acting as a executive body of a ESIC. And the power stand, who will be giving the guidance and everything? ESIC. Okay, under the superintendence and control of the ESIC, this standing committee will be working. The fifth member is Director General of ESIC. Okay, so this is a standing committee composition. Chairman, 3 members of ESIC, and then 3 members representing the states, and then 8 members elected. It is a elected body which comprises of 3 members of employers, 3 members of employees, 1 person medical practice, and then 1 person representing parliament, and then Director General of ESIC. This is a standing committee. What is the period of standing committee? For the people we have mentioned 8 members here, right? For them it is 2 years. The rest all is based on the pleasure of the appointing government, at the will of the appointing government. What are the duties and powers of a standing committee? They have to administer the affairs of the ESI. This is their duty, and also as well as a power. They can administer. They have to administer the affairs of the ESI and under the guidance of ESIC, and also any other powers or duties which are given by USIC and also central government. Okay, any other power related to employee state insurance scheme, that they have to do it. Okay, in simple, the powers and duties of standing committee. Moving to the last one, the Medical Benefit Council, the third wing. The first wing is Employee State Insurance Corporation. The second wing is Standing Committee. And here we have Medical Benefit Council. Let's look into a Medical Benefit Council's constitution, powers and duties. Medical Benefit Council is appointed to advise the ESIC on the medical side of its operation. See, one is they collect the contribution and they maintain it, they invest it, and they maintain the accounts. And the other side is they have to provide a medical facilities. To advise the medical side of its operation, a medical council or a medical benefit council has been constituted. What is the constitution or a composition of a medical benefit council? There will be a Director General for Health Service, Deputy Director General for Health Service, and then Medical Commissioner of ESIC, and 1 member representing each of the state, 3 members representing employers. This is a completely a different team, okay, not elected from the existing pool. 3 members representing the employees, 3 members representing the medical practice, out of which at least 1 should be woman. Okay, there should be 3 members of a medical practice, and out of that 1 member should be woman. And this is a composition of Medical Benefit Council. Terms of office for this, terms of office is for CEFG, C, E and FG. It is all based on it is all 4 years, and for the rest A, B and D, it will be pleasure of the government. Whenever government wants to appoint them, they can appoint, they can rechange, they can ask other new person to come in and other things, so that can be done. So term of office for people mentioned in CEFG is 4 years. For others it is the pleasure of the government. And what are the powers and duties of a standing committee? It has to give advice to ESIC and standing committee on the medical related points. And if there is any case against a medical practitioner, then they have to do investigation, and they have to perform other duties in connection with the medical topics or medical treatments related to the ESIC. Okay, this is the advice, this is the duties and power of a standing committee. That's it. It brings to an end of constitution for governance of a employee state insurance scheme. And if you have any questions, please comment in question box below, and then or a comment box below, and please don't forget to subscribe this particular channel, Parva Media, and we will be happy to serve you with more videos and more information on labor laws and other laws related to LLB. Thank you very much.